But George Crawford, how to about electric school buses. It's a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be when I started. Next slide. Only reason this is up here is because I actually do get a check from Johnson & Johnson, not about school buses. So keep going. Next one, we all know that when you're growing up in school, you saw that buses drive off, big red smoke. Later you learned that nitrous dioxide, volatile organic compounds, as well as some of the other particulate matter in there, can cause reading problems in kids, can cause education problems long-term, as well as respiratory problems. Now, in California, as always, California's doing a lot of stuff, they have dedicated $1.8 billion over the next 5 years to get to that 2035 initiative that people are talking about with electric school buses. But that's pretty much just California. We'll get to why later. Next slide. Now, they missed it, okay. So realistically, when you're looking at how you get an electric school bus in your area, there are 4 corners you have to look at. You have to get your superintendent involved. They have to be able to say, yes, this is a good idea. You have to have the school board trustees say, yes, we also buy in. Trick is, most of us I didn't know this in the beginning, that there's a bus maintenance company that manages the school buses. So it's not really just up to the school board. So the company has to also be on board. Now, the other thing that I fell victim to in the state of Alabama, politicians. It's interesting that I talked to the Alabama president of the Senate at the time. He was there from like 17 to 22. He said it's not really on their agenda. They're not really thinking about the environment and electric school buses and kids. We have this little thing in Alabama, this rule that says no more than 10% of your school buses can be alternative energy. Exactly. Now, we got a lot of money, it's great, but the problem is you can't do this in your community unless you're in California without grant money. You have to have a community desire to do it so they can push behind, and you have to have the infrastructure. The infrastructure is coming just because regular diesel school buses are just like your iPhone. If I told you 20 years ago that you could do more from your phone and your computer, you'd think I was crazy. If you ask people who don't want to go that route, they will say electric school buses are more expensive than diesel. That's true. They'll say they're heavier. That's true. But what they're also not telling you is that the municipalities are already changing from diesel to electric. So that infrastructure will be there in 5 years. That cost will come down. That Tesla that was $180,000 is now $59,000. So the money will change. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this and what I did was that all of this is really about changing the way we educate our kids. Instead of trying to get them on an electric school bus, let's keep them out of school. Let's be able to educate them at home. Let's look at some of those things so we don't have to put money into changing the way we get them there. How about we just change the way that we get the education information to them? And I talked to one of the consultants for the Secretary of Education, and they have an initiative called Raise the Bar. So they're looking at a way to reimagine education so we don't have to worry about transporting kids. We don't have to worry about pollution. We don't have to worry about the heat index when you're in schools, especially if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of trees around the school. Thank you so much, I was like 2 minutes and 59.